It's time for Community Matters, a service of TCB Broadcasting, and it's sponsored by Vidalia Federal in Lyons and Vidalia, Todd Paget Housing Center in Claxton. Now let's see what's happening in our community with host Tony Doc Wardlaw.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to this edition of Community Matters. I'm your host, the Doc, and we are here, yes, once again on another beautiful Wednesday morning. And again, I'd like to say good morning to everyone. I'm your host, the Doc, and here we are, as I always say, in this beautiful community of ours on this beautiful Wednesday morning for the Community Matters show. And I always say our community is one of the greatest communities in the world. And we're here. We've got another beautiful show lined up for us this morning. We have none other than the beautiful and the illustrious Miss Attallaka Harris in the studio.
Oh, thank you for having me.
When I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Well, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, so we're both going to figure it out.
You come in this morning, you've got your own coffee, and it's in a mug with your name on it.
Yes. Shout out to the kids that could never find their names on keychains, on keychains. And so I had a good friend that made that for me. So.
Yeah, I've been here hosting the show now for almost 2 years, and I don't even have a mug with my name on it. I think I need to fix that. I've got to fix that. I'm going to talk to Robin about that. Well, how you doing this morning?
I am doing well. I am blessed, and I am happy to be here. And again, thank you for having us here.
Well, we had you on here last year. I think it was you and Miss Johnson.
Yes,
last
dear
year.
Johnson.
And it's that time of the year again where we're going to be talking about and we're going to be celebrating Juneteenth.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are so excited. So we are about to be kicked into full gear. We've got several different events this year, and Sunday will be the first one.
Okay.
So this Sunday at 11 at St. Luke AME, we have the King of the Grill competition and a Taste of Soul for the sides. But we are encouraging folks, if you think you are that man on the grill, to come on out and be a part of our competition.
And that starts this Sunday?
That starts this Sunday, June the 11th at 11 a.m. So we'll have the judging competition, and then just like any other Taste Up competition, and it is a fundraiser for the Juneteenth Committee, because it takes money to make these things happen.
So there's a paid entry?
It is a paid entry, and you can also buy a ticket to also vote to stuff that ballot box for the person that you feel is the best King of the Grill.
That's it.
And whoever wins will be crowned that following Saturday at the park with the esteemed title of King of the Grill.
Wow. So they have to wait a whole week to find out who the winner
was. Yes.
And then they'll be crowned at Faison Park.
At Faison Park that Saturday afternoon. So we have a whole lot of stuff planned.
Do you have many entries so far?
We have about 4 entries thus far. So we want to encourage, if you, like I said, anybody that wants to participate, they can go to our Facebook page. It is Toombs County Juneteenth Jubilee.
Okay.
And sign up. Personal pages, people have been sharing all the information, but the information is out there. And so we just encourage folks to come on out and have a good time. Okay.
All right, so can you just kind of walk us through, it kicks off this Sunday.
It kicks off this Sunday, and then we have a little bit of a break, but towards the end of the week, starting Friday morning, we have a food box giveaway for our seniors this year. That will be in Vidalia. Our first venue kind of fell through, but we'll be announcing the replacement site way before then. Friday night, starting at the amphitheater, starting around, I think it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock that afternoon, we'll be having just a community talent show, vendors, food trucks, and local talent, and we'll be right there in the corner at the amphitheater in Vidalia.
Okay.
Saturday morning, we're at the high school
Which
that
high
more
school?
at Toombs County High School.
Okay.
We have an AAU basketball tournament going on starting that morning at 10.
My.
Also, in the auditorium part of the high school, the Phi Delta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority will be hosting
Kiwi.
a Black History Quiz Bowl. So we've got a lot of stuff going on that morning. And then that afternoon at the park, starting at 4, is our Jubilee in the park. And so that's when we have the resource tents from local resources in the community, telling the community about the services that they have available. Local vendors, food trucks, entertainment, bouncy houses, just a fun family time. So we, as always, bring your tent, bring your lawn chair, and just come out and set up and just prepare for a good time.
Oh, wow. Wow, this is, a lot has happened in a year.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
Last year, we had just the one event at Faison Park.
We had two. We did a food box giveaway for seniors, and we also had the Faison Park. And every year, we do try to grow and add something.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been downtown Lyons, but hanging up on the street lights.
Yeah.
You know, coming out of the city council meeting
That's
last year, Chandra and I were talking. I was like, Chandra, I want to get to the point where you see the lines, you know, the flags lining the streets.
Wow.
And here it is, not even a full year later.
It's already done.
It is already done.
Wow.
So yes, every year we try to grow, and we are so grateful and appreciative for all the support that City of Lyons has given us. So, and this year, City of Vidalia has come on board as well. So yes. We are
So
excited.
Juneteenth, for our listeners who are listening who may not be familiar with the holiday, can you just give us some background history about Juneteenth and how it came to be?
Juneteenth, also known as Jubilee Day, Freedom Day, actually started out in Galveston, Texas. And the way Juneteenth came about was after the Civil War was over, up 2 years, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
Because the planters did not bother to tell the enslaved that, hey, you're free. They had some crops they needed to get in just a little bit longer. And so it was 2 years after the end of the Civil War when the last bit of slaves or enslaved found out that they were free. And so that's where Juneteenth came from. The date is usually is June 19th, so it is morphed into Juneteenth. Yes. And so that is the celebration of when the soldiers rode in and told the last little bit of enslaved folks that you were free.
And the actual holiday was officially signed into law just in the last couple of years.
Yes, yes.
I think the exact time was 2021.
I think so.
And so now it's an official holiday and it's celebrated all over our nation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And so how long has the Toombs County Juneteenth Committee been in operation?
This is actually our 3rd year.
3 years.
3 years.
Wow.
Third time is the charm. The first
Yeah.
year we were out there in the rain. The second year we were out there in heat, honey.
Oh my goodness.
But hopefully, you know, with us, we're trying to find that sweet spot. So hopefully starting a little bit later in the day, we won't be about to melt. So hopefully 3rd time's the charm and we'll get it right this
It was a
time.
little warm last year, but you
Just
still had a
little
good
bit.
turnout.
Yes, we did. We had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
A wonderful time. And I think we had estimated numbers of like 500 because with the food trucks, the food trucks come out there early. And so anybody is welcome to come out, get you a plate and go if you don't want to stick around.
And you had several other vendors as well.
Oh yes, we have several other local vendors. We try to encourage that economic equity across our community. We want to support local businesses and we want to buy black as well because it is out there celebrating all of the things that we've been through and how we have been able to press forward, and despite of we have been able to excel and really do for ourselves.
Well, I'm
Is
glad
we
you
get
said
down.
that because a lot of people who are listening this morning, they may think that the Juneteenth holiday is just for black people.
Absolutely
Can you
not.
speak to that?
Absolutely not. It is just like every other piece of American history. This is part of our history. But we know that most of our history has been whitewashed and really just painted in a different hue, we'll say. And to diminish and the contributions and all the achievements that people of African descent have given to this country. So everything good and bad is a part of. You know, you can't be like, oh, this is my body, but I don't have a right hand. All of it fits together.
Yeah.
And everything is intertwined. So most definitely, you know, it is not just black history. It is everyone's history. It is American history. No
Excellent.
doubt.
Well said. Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Miss Attallaka Harris. She was born in New York
Yes, I was.
and transplanted here in Toombs County.
In Toombs County. My grandparents were from here, John and Dorothy Davis. My roots are here, St. Luke AME and St. Paul.
You grew up right here
I
in Lyons,
grew up
Georgia.
right here in Lyons, Georgia. My mom, fun fact, if you're on North Monroe Street, when you first turn, Mr. Singleton's store isn't there anymore.
No, not anymore.
But the little bitty building next door to Miss Corley's house, that was my great-grandfather's store.
Oh yeah, you the names you're calling out, you are from here.
I am from here, and my mama was born in Miss Corley's house. 'Cause
Wow.
That was, yes, so this is home. This
Yeah.
is nothing
Yeah.
but home.
You've been here since the 3rd grade.
Yes.
As you talked about, you grew up in the St. Luke AME Church. And I was telling you before we came on, I said, I remember you being the smart kid in all the Sunday school classes. Oh, smarty pants up
Dorothy
there
Davis
answering all
was
the
my
questions.
grandmother. I didn't have a choice. It was either get it right
All
or
of
get
us-
it at home.
All of us dumb kids, you know, trying to figure out, you know, who Moses and Noah was. You up there answering all the questions.
Like I said, that was Dorothy Davis. That's what that was.
Well, good, good. Well, thank you so much. The Toombs County Juneteenth Committee, can you just give us the website again before we take our first break?
Our Facebook page is Toombs County Jubilee. And since we're talking about the committee, can I say real quick,
Okay.
Chandra Woods, Kathy Benton,
Okay.
Terry Johnson, Ben Sanders, Renee Mitchell, and Miss Melissa Durden. If it was not for these folks right here,
Yeah, that's a great
this would
committee.
not be off the ground. You know, God puts people in your path for a reason.
Excellent.
And I am so glad that He brought us together.
Great.
Because this group of people right here has been able to just really accomplish amazing things.
Wonderful.
So I just wanted to shout them out before
Well, a lot of the
break.
festivities take place at the Faison Park.
Yes.
You all have been very instrumental in bringing exposure to that park. And certainly we thank you for all of the committee members. I mentioned that because one in particular, Miss Kathy Benton, is now on the city council.
Yes, she is.
And
Yes, she is.
on yesterday, it was announced that the park is receiving a grant for $2.2 million.
$2.2. Excellent. Congratulations. Yes.
And so we want to talk about that. We actually have a special person in the studio this morning, none other than the debonair himself, Mr. Jason Hall. And so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we want to talk about the grant and what Juneteenth means to the park and vice versa. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Smarter, not harder. Here at Vidalia Federal, we are all about that phrase as we strive to make your life easier. No more drowning in paperwork or being interrogated over the idea of buying a house. Getting a home loan should be an enjoyable, simple process, not a daunting task. This is Julia McKenzie with Vidalia Federal Savings Bank, and I am here to make the mortgage process easy and simple. Come see me at the Vidalia branch on Jackson Street to talk about your next home purchase or refinance. I look forward to serving you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas. This is Anthony J. with Todd Paget Housing Center. And no, I'm not Santa, but we sure are slaying the competition over here in Claxton, Georgia. We build our manufactured homes more energy efficient, better built, and have the best setup than anyone else. Whether you've been naughty or nice, come by and we'll be glad to show you the Todd Paget Housing Center difference. Jingle us at 912-732-1466 or stop your sleigh at 5260 Highway 280 West in Claxton, Georgia. Todd Paget Housing Center. All of your housing solutions under one roof.
Welcome back to this edition of Community Matters. I'm your host, the Doc. And yesterday we were there at Faison Park, Faison Park. And we were just listening to all of the various persons speaking, and one in particular was the commissioner, Alfred Kaysen, Reverend Dr. Alfred Kaysen.
So I'll give you $5 if you can remember what Vincent's middle name was.
Don't. LaRue.
Okay.
LaRue.
I owe you $5.
And let me tell you,
I give it to you at Lyons
the reason why, and the reason why is because it was so different.
It was,
right?
yeah.
And I was like, wow, I never knew that. And anyway, Commissioner Kaysen is speaking, and he says, "And come on up, Doc." And I look around. He says, "No, there's only one Doc." I said, "Well, I kind of knew that, but all right." But anyway, it was just good to be there.
We won't tell Alfred's secret, but he couldn't remember your first name.
Is that right? Well, listen, man. It's good to have you on the show.
Good to be back.
And you've been busy.
Ah, man. I'm getting gray hairs. I'm getting old. Going to bed at 9 o'clock at night. It's old man. That's an old man routine right there.
Right, right. But the city of Lyons has been busy.
We have been extremely busy. Yeah, we've got a lot going on. We've been blessed as a city to take advantage of a lot of the state and federal money that's coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a really good team. We work well with the Heart of Georgia.
Okay.
A lot of people don't understand. They work in the background, so they're not out front, but they write a lot of our grants for us.
Mm-hmm.
They write a lot of grants for a lot of cities around here, but I feel like we've got an extremely good relationship with them because we have a really good leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when your leadership is kind of together,
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for a grant writer to write those grants. They're not trying to navigate these waters where they're having to please one person and try to please the next person. So they work well with us, and we've applied for a bunch of grants over the last probably 3.5, 4 years, and we've gotten probably, I'd say, about 60% of them.
Wow.
And this was a really hard grant. I was telling somebody at the meeting last night. They were talking about the design that we had on the podium, and I said, y'all don't realize we had 30 days to apply for this grant.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got the notice that the grant was going to be available.
Mm-hmm.
We got the notice that we qualified because you had to be in a certain census tract, because it was a grant that was focused on neighborhoods that kind of had been left out of some of the other grants that had been available throughout the years. Just so happened that line kind of went down and took in Faison Park, went around Parton Park, came back around and grabbed Ezra Taylor, and then kind of went back into Montgomery County, which was a very, very odd census tract, but it worked for us.
Yeah.
And so within 30 days, with the help of the Heart of Georgia, a lot of late nights in the office, and our engineer that we use a lot, Hofstadter and Associates in Macon, we got cost estimates, we got letters of support, we got the grant wrote. This grant was weird too, and nobody will ever see this video, but I had to do a video walkthrough of the project. So I'm out there at Faison Park one day in the afternoon with a camera on a stand, doing a video walkthrough, and I had to edit it together. But it was a terrible video, but it worked, and I think we were able to relay to the state and to the governor how important this grant was to the community. It was funny, they wanted the grant submitted in 30 days, but they took almost 9 or 10 months to even award the grant.
Wow.
So
that's about as long as you got to wait.
Yeah, exactly.
To find out if you win. the Juneteenth kickoff.
By the way, you didn't mention that I'm going to be a judge for the
Oh,
thing
that's
the
right.
other day.
Jason is the judge.
That's right.
Jason is the judge.
But, we kept waiting and waiting and waiting. They asked for additional information several times, so we were really having to stay on top of things. And when they would call and say, we need additional information, they would say, we've got to have it in 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so again, we all get together and rush
Yeah.
and try to fill it out. But it was worth it. I mean, $2 million. I think
I'd say
Blake was
that's
talking
worth it.
about that. Yeah, I mean, that's just a little less than half of the
Wow.
entire city budget.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, in one
when-
one
One
check.
fell swoop.
When State Senator
Yes.
Hillary said that on
Yes.
yesterday, I was like, wow.
Yeah, just think about that. I mean, we're doing in one project a little less than half of what the entire city budget is ran on.
It's a
I mean,
big
that's water, sewer, sanitation, police.
deal. Mhm.
You know, our police budget's only around $780,000 or something like that.
Wow.
So, we're doing into this park, or we're putting in this recreation facility a little less than half of what the entire budget is for the city.
Well, we had a good showing on
Yep.
yesterday. We had a great showing, actually. We had our state representative there as well. We had all of our city councilmen, I
Yep.
do believe. were
Most
there.
of them, yeah. I think Ivy was not there. He had previous engagement. He couldn't be there.
Right, right. Our mayor was there. Our county persons
Yep.
were there.
That's
County
Alfred's
manager
district.
Was there,
Yeah.
right? And so, and then we had citizens, and Miss Harris was there.
And I was there. I got invited by the city manager.
And I think going back to the festival, one of the things that we wrote in the grant, and that will come out in the press release this month, or today actually, I think the press release will hit.
Mm-hmm.
When we started talking about renovating Faison Park
Mhm.
years ago, remember I came here in 2010. Ben was on the board when I got hired.
That's right.
And, we toured the city. They kind of gave me a vision of where they wanted to go.
Mhm.
And Faison Park was always part of that vision. But it was interesting for me to see that we're moving in that direction now.
Mhm.
And that money is going to make a huge difference over there. And one of the things that Ben said was that for this park to thrive,
Mhm.
there has to be activity there.
Right.
Because when I got here, and we can talk freely about it, I mean, there wasn't a lot of activity
It was
there.
That's
No.
right.
There was no activity. There was no events.
Nothing.
There was
It
no
was
recreation
forgotten.
there.
Yes. it was
And so the goal was to figure out a way to get events going on there, to get things happening. That's why we focus so much on moving that family center kind of to the top part of the park, because that gave the basketball court its own little area.
Mhm.
And it gave, if I wanted to take my young children there,
Mhm.
they had that beautiful playground, they had that beautiful pavilion. And that thing gets used all of the
All
time.
the time.
All the time. And then we renovated the basketball courts, that thing's getting used a lot.
Yeah.
So this is the next progression, but Juneteenth kind of filled in that gap
Mhm.
because we needed activities there. And we've had more than just the
We've
Juneteenth.
had the food truck
Yep.
Friday,
Mhm.
and where we showed a movie. I think it was Hocus Pocus,
Yep.
the latest Hocus Pocus.
Wow.
And every time that we have an event, we also try to focus on some type of community aspect, whether it is collecting children's books or bags for DFACs. It's not just to come out and have a good time.
Right.
Wow.
It's one of those party with a purpose type things.
Mhm.
And I don't know if this was the first time I ever met Jason. I don't even know if you remember this.
Okay.
It was at the park at one of the board meetings.
Mhm.
And it was right when y'all announced the renovation for Vincent Faison Park. The first time.
one,
Yes.
which was only $80,000.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I just remember, back then I came to the meeting. I was like, Juneteenth wanted to, and Jason was like, it won't be ready by the end. And that was my first dealing. But Jason was like, wow. But look
Sorry.
where we are now.
I'm a realist. Speaking of that, somebody asked me last night, they said, and understand the environment of construction has changed a lot in the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, well, will we have this done by the end of the year? And I said, no. Realistically, we're talking about probably 6 to 8 months of engineering. We've got to go out to bid for engineers. once the engineer gets chosen, we've got 6 to 8 months of engineering. That is if you saw the board, that's a lot
Yeah.
to create those multi-use fields, to build that community center, to create those courts. That's a lot. If you notice, there was a whole heck of a lot of parking involved in that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
That was one thing that I think we all said in the beginning. If we renovate, the worst thing about Parton Park, all the positive things about Parton Park, the worst thing is there's nowhere to park.
Yeah.
And we said we're not going to make
Not
that
gonna do
mistake
that
again.
again.
Yes. So there's a lot of parking in that design, and it will stay there because we know how important it is. Because if Juneteenth keeps evolving, if other
It
activities
is.
keep coming in there, soccer is becoming huge.
Very
If soccer keeps growing, we've got to have parking.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking probably 6 to 8 months of engineering. Then we have to go out to bid for construction. If you drive down 16, every contractor in 4 states is sitting on that site, and they are working. So, even when we go out to bid, there's probably going to be some delays in construction. So, I think we're probably in a 2-year process, so it may not be ready by the next June.
You see how he just warms you up to break you down.
I feel like it was a setup.
It was
That's
a
all
setup.
And this is why he's the deputy.
But it makes sense because here's the other thing that the council has made it very clear to everybody. We're going to do this one right.
Right.
So we're not going to go in there with some half-cocked plan. We're going to go in there and make sure that the community center is sized correctly, that the
That's
parking is correct,
Good.
that those fields can be used. The great thing about a multi-use field, depending on how you stripe it, depending on what you do with it, I mean, we could be playing 6 or 8 soccer games at the same time. We could be playing a couple of football games. And somebody told me the other day, said, we need to bring lacrosse to Toombs County. And I was like, what? Lacrosse? What is lacrosse anyway?
It's on the rise. It is on the rise.
So yeah,
once again.
so that gives us opportunity in recreation, not just in activities, but in recreation to expand our scope, to look at different things, to think outside the box. Because now we've got the fields. We're not having to use the outfield of a baseball field to do everything.
Well, you mentioned some in terms of all of the activities that are happening at the park. I just want to hear from you
Sure.
As a city manager. How do you feel the Juneteenth activities have played into to the field?
The atmosphere around Faison Park has changed, has done a 180 since the Juneteenth Festival has started, since the activity has started. I think the catalyst was when we got the second entrance.
Okay.
When that second entrance came in off of Cobbtown Road, the park all of a sudden was visible. Everybody said, oh, there it is. I see the sign. I can look down there and I can see into the park. It became an entity again. Before you had to go through the neighborhood to really get into it.
Well, before you had to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to go by the
gym.
school.
Yes.
Yeah.
You go by the school.
Nobody knew it was there. So just imagine 2 years from now,
Yeah.
you're driving down that road on a Friday night and you look to your right and you see the lights spilling out into the sky because those are going to be lit fields.
Right.
And then as you pass by that entrance, you look in there and you see 150 cars for a lacrosse game or a soccer game or whatever. Or you drive by on a Saturday afternoon at 6 during Juneteenth and you see 1,000 cars in there and you see that everything lit up.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Your lips to God's ears. But go ahead.
So that's exactly what I think what will happen over the next couple of years is the activity is going to increase. And not just event activity. The goal, I think, is to have, and John kind of alluded to it,
You did?
to have recreation activities there again. Because no recreation activities have been there for a long time.
And just to be clear for our listeners, when we talk about John,
John
city
Moore,
manager
yes.
knows these people on first name basis,
Yeah.
but we're talking about our city councilman,
Correct.
John Moore, as well as Mr. Ben Mitchell, the late great Mr. Ben Mitchell, who was, I want to believe, the first black city councilman for Toombs County.
That may be correct.
I know he was the first black mayor pro tem. That
may
I
have
do
been, yeah.
know for certain.
He had this vision for the park, and his son Quincy Mitchell was there on yesterday, and so it was just a good showing. And
It doesn't feel like he's been gone since 2019. Quincy was telling me that.
right,
It was kind of shocking.
Yeah. And, And you were talking about COVID and all of these things kind of interfering. I think that has a lot to do with
Oh, yeah.
with us not feeling like, Mr. Mitchell's been gone that
True.
long. But through it all, Juneteenth is still
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Most definitely.
still
Even
made
in the heat, in the rain.
scorching heat.
Scorching heat and the rain. I was so glad when we did the movie that night, because I told Missy, I said, at least the sun will be down.
And then extreme weather. It was so cold.
It was.
That
It was
night,
cold.
so
It was cold.
hopefully this will be the
I don't
right
mind watching a
size.
movie in the cold, though. That's fine.
The street lights for Juneteenth. That's a
Oh, the
sight to
banners.
see.
The banners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a sight to see. You went to a council meeting.
At the end of last year, we always go by and say thank you because, like I said, without the support of the city of Lyons, none of this would be possible on the scope that it is. And Chandra and I were walking out. I was like, oh my goodness, the vision, how, I just see it. And I said, one day I want to look down the block and see, Juneteenth banners hanging from the lights like Christmas and
Right,
4th
tells
of
me all
July.
about it.
Yes, and here it is. Not even a full calendar year later, and it's right there, downtown Lyons, and about to be downtown by day as well. So,
Oh, wow. Good.
yes.
Well,
So
you get a lot of credit for that because, we really don't do anything with that except put them up. They got the banners. They keep the banners, looking new. So, your crew, deserves that credit. All we do is we break the bucket truck out about every 2 months and change the banners. So.
Wow. Well, it's just a good effort across the board.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what makes our community so great, just the unity and the working together. So I want to be clear to our listeners that the Juneteenth is a celebration for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And the city is fully on board, as we can see with the progress with the park and everybody working together. And I will say again, our city has been very, very busy. Our city manager, our mayor, all of our elected officials working together. I walked out the other day, and I'm not saying this because he's here, but I saw our city manager, lining up the road with the flags for Memorial Day.
Yeah. I love that
He was
project.
by himself, and he was just working up the street. I was like, wow, that's pretty good,
Now, I did not do all those flags by myself.
You could
Those
take
were
the credit.
no,
I
I'm
mean,
not. Those were a few that I had to make some repairs on. So they happened to be outside the restaurant, at y'all's restaurant. So I made sure that I made sure he knew what I was doing. I was hoping he was going to come out there and say, "Hey, let me help you." No, he stood on the corner and watched.
You said you had it.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I gave you good encouragement.
You did, you did, you
I
did.
said, attaboy,
Yeah.
So, as we conclude here this morning, I want to thank you.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Thank you, Attallaka.
Jason,
Y'all do a
for
great
coming
job.
in.
Thank you for the support
and-
from the city.
And really, adding to this and talking about the park. We want people to come out beginning Sunday.
Beginning Sunday at 11 at St. Luke for the King of the Grill. Friday morning is the senior box food giveaway. More details.
That's the following Friday.
That is the
which
following the
will-
15th.
the
I think it's the
15th.
15th. 16th. The 16th.
Okay.
Somewhere, whatever Friday is.
Mhm.
And then Friday night is the Freedom Fest at the amphitheater in Vidalia.
Okay.
And then Saturday morning, the AAU tournament, as well as the Black History Quiz Bowl being hosted by those beautiful ladies of pink and green. And also, and shout out to Stephanie. She told me to say hello this morning when I talked to her.
Yeah, Stephanie's my wife, and she is one of those beautiful ladies.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Like Jason, I married up.
I did.
Anytime you hear an AK, but that's
Look,
here nor
look.
there. I'm just saying. And then Saturday afternoon at the park.
Mhm.
And I would like to say this as well. The banners as well as everything in the park has been funded by donations.
Wow.
And so every year we want to add a little bit more, but guess what? That means a little bit more money.
A little more donation.
So, $,
Mm-hmm.
Toombs Juneteenth, one word, full word, TOOMBSJUNETEENTH. $, Toombs Juneteenth. Got a little bit more to go. Reach deep, help us out. you see the fruits of your labor. You see where the money goes. And like I said, these folks, Kathy, Renee, Terry, Chandra, Mr. Ben, and Miss Melissa have done an awesome job every year, because this is no little bitty undertaking.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of prayers and cussing going on in the background. So
is this Cash App?
this is Cash App.
That's the
We
only
have Zelle as
means.
well, but I don't know that one off the top of my head.
But they can go to your Facebook page.
Yes, they can go to our Facebook page. So any type of donation will be greatly appreciated.
Excellent.
So one year we want to build up the fireworks. We got to get this thing rolling.
And can people still join in for the cookout? Or?
Oh, most definitely. All of those registration links are on our Facebook page.
Okay.
So registration, even vendors. If you're a vendor and still would like to come out, Terry Johnson does an amazing job.
Is there a contact number?
Again, all of these things are on our Facebook page.
Okay, and
Oh,
that
your
is-
Facebook page is full. Yeah, I follow it, but I haven't been getting alerts. So I need to go in there and change it again. But yeah, all that stuff's on there. I see, and the whole schedule's right there.
Excellent.
Takes up a whole page.
Excellent. Well, we thank you all for the work that you're doing. We're looking forward to these festivities. And you know, it comes at a great time, because after the Sweet Onion Festival, then we kind of have like this, just this lull. And then now, boom, here we are with the Juneteenth, and that kind of bridges us to our games and recreation that begins, August or so.
Yep.
So this is a good time. So get out, be a part of these festivities. Everybody. Take your families.
Yeah, oh, it is definitely a family event. Like I said, we have entertainment, live entertainment actually for this year, as well as the
Okay.
DJ. Bouncy houses are in effect as well. Like I said, vendors, and of course, you got to eat. You know, got to eat.
Got
Food was good last year. I did say that.
Great,
Yes.
great. Well, thank you all once again
Thank you
for
for
coming in
having
and being a
us.
part of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Attallaka Harris, as well as Mr. Jason Hall. We thank you all once again for coming in. As always, we thank Miss Robin Crabb, who is our general manager and produces the show. And we thank you, Miss Dorothy Davis, for your assistance and help. Please go out, and you can actually watch this on our Facebook page, tcbbroadcasting.com. tcbbroadcasting.com. You can go there. You can listen to this all over again in case you missed something. You can do that. It's our website, tcbbroadcasting.com.
Struggling this morning, Doc. You're struggling.
I am.
You need some of this coffee.
You know what? If you didn't have your name on it, I'm still stuck on that. Thank you all for listening. Come back again on next week. We've got another great show. We'll be talking about our veterans on next week. So come back and tune in once again. Thank you. I'm your host, the Doc. We'll see you next time. God bless.
You've been listening to Community Matters with host Tony Doc Wardlaw, sponsored by Todd Paget Housing Center in Claxton and by Vidalia Federal in Lyons and Vidalia. Tune in again next week to see what is happening in our community on Community Matters, a service of TCB Broadcasting.